Hey, Shalom, Salaki, I'm back. Yeah, I got my phone on Do Not Disturb, but somehow a call was let through, so that's Satan, trying to hinder. But nevertheless, like I was saying, Esau used the image to propel, so-called white superiority. So that's why they'll put Eminem forth like that. They'll put Adele forth like that. But the whole time they are Jakes. You got the debate going, Eminem the greatest rapper of all time. Let's say he is the greatest rapper of all time. All right? That's not a point for Esau. That's not a point for so-called white people. Because he is Israelite. How do we know? How do we know he is Israelite? Because of the spirit. He can't nobody keep up with the Israelites but the Israelites. Jay Williams, White Chocolate. And you notice every time somebody good at something, when the Edomite good at something, talent-wise, they always comparable. They always compare him right back to Jay. See why they call Jay Williams White Chocolate? They called him White Chocolate. Why they just didn't call him Vanilla? People love Vanilla. They called him, that's white chocolate. Yeah. Pistol Pete Maravich. These other people on the outside that appear to be white, but their spirit, their inner man, right? The inner person is what? They're Israelite, right? That's the proof. Even you had Tommy Jones. No, not Tommy Jones. Tom Jones, the one who sings "It's Not Unusual to Be Loved by Anyone." That guy, I remember watching years ago on TMZ. He basically was talking about like he wanted to do a ancestry. He wanted to do an ancestry search because he's infatuated with so-called black people. He into the music. He into everything, but that's just because. That's his spirit. All right. Let me see. This is let me see. Salakia. Grab another scripture real quick. It's in the Apocrypha. See if I can get it real quick. Because the scripture speaks about men resorting to their kind. All right. Like the saying, birds of a feather flock together. All right. This is Sirach 13-15. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. Right. Lions ride with lions. Hyenas ride with hyenas. Israelites ride with Israelites. So-called white people ride with so-called white people. And with Japanese, Chinese, etc. All right. Now, you don't see that to the same degree you see now because what? The curse says what? Thy eyes shall be evil towards thy brother. And with these Edomites infiltrating our communities and putting us against each other, you don't see the unity that we once had. You don't see us resorting to each other like we once was because of that. But you go into any workplace and it's diverse. Them people be new, don't even know each other. But because they of the same nation, they'll treat each other like family, like brothers or whatever. They'll feed each other. They'll find deals for each other. They'll look out for each other, show each other the ropes. Why? Because they are of the same kind. It says all flesh consorted according to kind, and ain't no mermaid. See, this gets rid of all that mermaids and all that stuff too. Ain't no mermaids. You can't, and no centaurs and minotaurs, half man, half horse. It says, and a man will cleave to his like. That's why when you read in what's that, Isaiah the 14th chapter, it says what? Isaiah 14:1, it says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. Why? Because Israel is not in their own land through being scattered through the captivities. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Why? They're cleaving unto their like, because they are of the house of Jacob. All right. That's why. See, now we got to get contextual, because sometimes the scripture says stranger and it's talking about a heathen. And sometimes it says stranger and it's talking about our people, because we became strangers. Right. And the word strange means foreign. All right. We became strangers by adopting these heathenistic practices. All right. And following and worshiping idols. All right. You ever had a brother or a sister and you ain't seen them in years, and then they come back and they're like a stranger unto you, based off if they get into something. Like I had a cousin, you know, my favorite girl cousin growing up. And she left, moved to Arizona, was gone for years, like 10 plus years. She had got with an Edomite, and she came back, and like she was just bizarre. Like she didn't believe in the Lord. She believed in energy, picking up pennies, talking about some, see this penny, got energy. But she became a stranger. All right. But those who, you know, of our people, because we were strange too. You know why? We was born in America, raised with American customs and American fashions, and you didn't know you was an Israelite. You didn't know that you weren't supposed to eat pork. You weren't supposed to get lined up. You weren't supposed to behave a certain way. You got your own customs. All right. So you got that now. Like you got even on smaller levels, when you see so-called white boys just hanging with Israelites, that's because they're the same, like brothers, treat each other like brothers. All right. That's because they are the same kind, you know. It says, right, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right. So this is Revelation. Revelation 7 and 9. All right, when you read this chapter, it's talking about Yahweh Shai was worthy, the lamb, you know, that was slain. He was worthy to open the seals thereof of the book of this knowledge to be released, right? So it says, I'm gonna read verse 9, and it's talking about of the 144,000 sealed out of every tribe. All right, why the 144,000 don't include others? All right, because the 144,000 represent the prophets. He showed his word unto Jacob. He have not dealt so with any other nation. Anyway, verse 9, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Now, when you read that at face value, people will misinterpret and say, look, of all nations, look. But you got to remember, we were scattered amongst all nations. It says, and cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. Now, when you read Joel 2 and 27, now our is a possessive pronoun. All right. The Most High was never the God of the heathens. All right. And the Lord don't change. So Joel 2 and 27 says, what? And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. See, it's all about his people. He's not the God of these other nations. If you had a son and your son got bullied and beat up by the whole school, and after you patched your son wounds up and got him some ice cream, you gonna give all them kids some ice cream that inflicted that upon your son? No. What's more than likely what you will want for those kids? You will want retribution. You will want justice. You will want something to be done. That's the more feasible thing. Is the same thing applies here in this situation. The Lord is not there, your God, if you're not an Israelite. And you have to receive justice for what you've done to the Israelites. That's just common sense. We got laws, right? There's consequences for your actions. Laws. You can't just go into the store and steal. All right. You can't just walk down the street and just punch somebody. There's a consequence for that. But no, let me get that word, right? Because you go into that word in Revelation 7 and 9 is phule. All right, which is a Greek word. So let's grab that. Revelation 7 and 9. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hair. Why did that happen? Because we are scattered amongst all people. All right. And one thing that Israelites do is Israelites procreate. Israelites gonna get busy and procreate no matter where we at. They're gonna find a way to get it done. All right. All right. Ethnos, that's nations, that's the root of ethnicity. Sometimes you see that word, it can apply to Israel or the other heathens. But check out phule for kindreds, a tribe. All right. In the New Testament, all the persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob, a nation people. See, so those were all of the 12 tribes that were scattered throughout the world. All right. That's that great gathering. All right. Of all nations people. Why? Because through the scattering, they're going to look like those other nations. It only makes sense. We use the analogy with Blake Griffin all the time. Blake Griffin, father, so-called black man. But Blake Griffin, he comes out, look how he look. Yeah, you can look at him and tell that, he got the typical characteristics of Israelite. All right, cool. He look like Israelite. But then he got with another woman, Edomite-looking woman. And now his son looked totally like an Edomite. But what? On his father's line, he's still an Israelite, because that's how your pedigree or your lineage is determined. Which is, when you read that in Numbers 1 and 18 real quick. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, by their poles. That's why when you read the scripture, it says, and Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob. We know their mother's names, but the mother's not included in their lineage because the mother don't determine the lineage. All right? That's scriptural, and that manifests in reality. That's why you got these people that appear to be heathens able to keep up with the Israelites, because you go through they Israelites. All right. So let me grab Revelation 5 and 9. And they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. So they was redeemed out from amongst them people. Why? Because they were not of those people. Okay. So with that, Lord willing, this was the edifying lesson to the hopeful elect. All praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash, Shalom.